Hey interwebs, this is Boyd.
Paul.
This is Paul. And welcome back. We're going to do another top 5 list.
Did we do our kiss for good luck?
Right.
Oh, no, thanks.
Tease.
I don't need that much
You
luck.
teased me, Paul. Today we're going to be doing top 5 movies that are just as good, if not better, than their source material.
Is it movies or any bit of...
I thought we said movies. Did you pick something else?
Yeah.
Well, forget it. I don't care.
He'll do movies, I'll do other stuff.
Works for me.
I just figured it could be movies or TVs or even video games that were... Because the word remake gets thrown around and you hear it and your first sense is, you just dread it because you hear about, they're remaking Batman. Like, fuck, man, they just did that. So I kind of went with a whole string of things personally for me that I was dreading. And when I heard about it and then finally saw these things, I was happy with the results. So.
Okay, well, that's fine. Mine are all movies.
That's cool.
So, who wants to start?
Go ahead, man.
All right. Number 5 now. This is number 5 on my list because it's fairly new, and I might be a little biased. But number 5 is the new Godzilla movie. The American, done by Gareth Edwards. Just came out a few months ago.
I'd actually
Or
expect
maybe
you
about a
to
month
hate
ago.
this movie.
Really?
Well, you take something beloved, something that you've known from your childhood, something ingrained into your family's culture, actually, and then you remake it with an American team, and what do you think's going to happen? They're probably going to fuck it up. But the fact of the matter is, they didn't fuck it up, and it's badass. It's amazing.
Well, maybe part of it is the fact that we already had that horrible Roland Emmerich, Dean Devlin movie.
Good monster movie, terrible Godzilla movie.
I will agree with that. I've always said it was a good monster movie. Didn't even call it Godzilla.
No.
This one was done by a fan, and I've heard complaints about it, and I can see where these complaints, come from. But
What
all in
complaints
all,
have you heard?
Godzilla is a side character in his own movie. By the way, there may be some spoilers for anything we talk about in here.
Do you agree with that?
Yes and no.
If yes, is that a bad thing?
No.
Because he was technically a side character in the original 50s.
Right. Well, the original Gojira, or Godzilla King of the Monsters, as it's called here, he's not in it a whole lot. The focus is more on the human characters.
But the result of, in both movies, the original and this one, is that the result of human tampering with nature. Something to that extent, and it awakens. So Godzilla is the ultimate result of our folly, man's folly.
Right, and
So therefore, he's kind of always in the movie as a threat.
yeah. This movie, in the first movie, he definitely is the threat. This one, not so much. They kind of took him more as the friendly protector, which is not portrayed in the trailers at all.
No.
Like in the trailers, you thought he was just this rampaging monster of destruction, and that is more how he is in the original movie. This one, they take him more like the friendly,
It's like an anti-hero. So
Kind of.
when I saw the movie, my thoughts were, I'm Godzilla. No one's going to destroy this planet but me. In other words,
not really how it is though. So.
well, no,
and that's
no.
fine, and that's fine. I don't want to get too far into that.
Sure.
But definitely, the human aspect of this one was not as good as the first one, but still really good. I mean, it had Bryan Cranston in it, and anything with Heisenberg is pretty freaking awesome.
That's the selling point of the movie. They tend to show him in every trailer, and yet, spoiler alert, he's not in the movie very long. And I like that because that means that the movie's not afraid to play it dangerously, which means they're not afraid to show its main character, so to speak, for a limited amount of time because they know that they carry that much weight. But I agree with you that it was as good as the source material because it is a companion piece to, a tribute to, and a remake of the original Godzilla.
Absolutely.
It's pretty bad. And they even make tons of nods to the original.
Oh yeah. They're great. They're all these great little nods in it. Pictures of moths everywhere. That one really made me smile. There's even a tagline at the end that one I won't spoil because I love it too much. But I liked it. I liked it a lot, and I'm a big fan of Godzilla and monster movies in general. So I like to think coming from me that means something.
Yeah.
Or says something about my choice anyway.
You gonna go through your rest?
No, you go next.
Mine is True Blood.
True Blood, really?
Not that I like this show more than the books. I think the books are very, very, very good. Let me qualify this statement. The show documents the narratives and stories of every character mentioned. In the book, it's Sookie talking. And so therefore you can get tired of, seeing the world through Sookie's eyes. In the show, it takes a more objective view of letting the things happen and you deciding for yourself how you feel about each character. With that being said, do I think that the show is, quote, better than the books? No. I think it is as good as the source material. But there's something that tips the scale in its favor, and that is that it's almost more jagged. Like, they took the edges and sort of made them sharper. Like, the violence in the show is amped up. The sex in the show is amped up.
Mhm.
The attitudes are amped up and things like that. So I feel like it's got its claws out a little bit more. So again, it's as good, but given the source material is from one focal point, sort of going out this way, this is more of a central theme of vampires and the supernatural, and it's sort of connected to all these other characters via this hub. And I thought that was a little bit more tastefully done and would likely garner more viewers and fans without sacrificing any of the story's integrity. So yeah, that's basically it. In other words, they're both companion pieces to each other. But since the show came second, I feel like it should probably give its proper dues.
I like the show. I'm a couple of seasons behind. I've read all but the very last book, and I like them both. I think the book is far superior to the show, mainly because the show has gotten so goofy.
That's another thing
almost
too.
Like really silly, and I think that while that for me personally, I love that. I think it kind of makes it a lot fun and makes it a compelling reason for me to watch it rather than just say, well, the books are better. I don't care.
True.
I think it hurts it in the long run for the
fans of the book,
for fans, and for just the general population.
I can see that.
I can see some of the really goofy and kind of sometimes stupid things they do, and just go like, well, I'm not going to read the books then.
It kind of becomes a parody of itself. But again, for people who are real fans of the show, they're going to watch it and sort of slap their knee and think that that's just one of the many other ways that they've explored territories unknown. Again, not saying it's better, just saying that it covers more. And so I think that in the term of the word greater, by greater area, the show it surpasses the book in that respect, and in none other. But I found myself wanting to watch the show more than read the books.
Not even. All right, number 4 for me. This one, I at first was going to pick like just a single movie, but then I just thought about it, and I got to go with the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I mean X-Men and
No, I'm sorry.
more recent.
No, I mean the Marvel ones.
The actual Marvel Studios.
Iron Man, Hulk, Avengers, Thor, Captain America.
I like that a lot, man.
I'm not a big Marvel fan. I grew up reading DC books, and when I really got into comics in the late '90s, like started collecting them and whatnot, I didn't really buy any Marvel.
But DC eventually shit on your dreams.
Well, we're not going to get into that again.
More like New 50 Poo.
Yes.
But still.
Yeah. But the Marvel movies are amazing.
They are.
They stick really close to the source material. They pay with the stuff they do change doesn't feel like it's just a stupid change like Man of Steel, but it makes sense, and while at the same time still paying tribute or honor to the original source material, like the Captain America movie, the first one.
I loved it.
It's amazing.
It's probably my favorite out of the first run of the Marvel films.
But that costume really couldn't translate too well, but you still kind of had it there at the beginning.
Yep.
When he's in the USO show, and it's kind of like big and goofy. But then when he actually becomes a soldier, they kind of update it so it looks more what you would think it would look like.
They were able to strip the character down of Steve Rogers, and basically what they did was they took him as this, my personality's bigger than my body.
Yeah.
And then because he couldn't do anything with that, they said, well, you'll have to sell out if you want to do anything regarding the war. Yeah. And they turned him into what most people think of when you see the Captain America costume, which is something ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's too much stars, too much stripes, too much gee shucks, America, go get them, guy. But even he knew that in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, this is degrading, but at least it's something.
At least I'm contributing.
At least I'm contributing. And it was eye-catching enough to have him take baby steps up to where eventually he became the real Captain America. I think it's genius.
Yeah.
I do not hate Captain America at all, and but
I don't even hate when he gets the new costume of the Avengers. A lot of people said that was the worst part.
I think it's great, man.
I think it works fine.
Well, because for the people who knew him growing up when they were kids, it's fan service to the actual characters in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that a lot. But the Marvel Universe, yeah, good call, man.
All right, your next one?
Forrest Gump.
Oh, wow.
I've read the book. It is very genius. It's very dark. I think that if both...
I've never read the book myself.
I'll go ahead and list a couple of differences. Let's just say that if... I'm assuming that you've all seen the movies, which is about not a lovable, retarded idiot. It's about a savant, if anything, a person who sort of has a knack for, love, and he had simple faith, and it shows the rewards of just living a simple life. But the difference between Forrest Gump and everybody else is that he was sort of born simple. Everybody else has to sort of meditate and go into yoga and shit like that in order to whittle themselves down to where they're in this amoebic state of happiness and zen. Well, in the books, he was very much a product of his environment in the South, where he actually would say, can I say nigger?
Well, I mean, as long as you're saying it in the proper...
I'm not saying, like, yeah, of course. I'm just saying that in the book, Forrest Gump says nigger a lot. He says big dumb... Like, when he's talking about other football players, and you're kind of like, that's not the Forrest Gump I saw in the movie at all.
I didn't know that, really.
Yeah, he did. And you can tell, you don't get mad at him because you realize it's something he heard his family say. He talks about going to school, and people say, they in the South and around that time, they say this about other teams' football players, and so he repeats what he's heard. And so you realize he is still very childlike, but in the book, his genius is laid out in that he's a mathematician to a genius level. Yeah,
really?
Oh yeah. He gets shot into space. He has a pet monkey named Sue.
I knew that.
He lives amongst cannibals, and he figured out before Jenny told him that his son was his own.
I know they don't get married.
They don't. He makes himself homeless. Actually, he tries to appreciate the wealth and fame that he's got by sort of removing himself from it. So it's
is that kind of like the running part?
Sort of, yeah. And it's moved to the end, and they extrapolate it a little bit where they go into his reasons for being this. In other words, the Forrest in the books is a little bit more aware of himself, but not aware of his surroundings. And in the book, or rather in the movie, he's a little bit more aware of his surroundings and not himself. He sort of just bounces to and from whatever situation he gets into. He addresses it, and he learns from it, and that ends up being that. But the movie, the reason why I consider it to be better is because not that it just has a wider audience, but because it changes nearly everything. And somehow you would not mistake it for any other thing than a movie about the Forrest Gump book. And that is very hard to do, to change almost everything and still be like, that's Forrest Gump. Because at the core, they got it right. He is a simple person. He does have simple faith. He does find himself in wacky situations, and he does have a heart bigger than most people, and he sort of loves unconditionally, and in his own weird way, he learns from that, from all of his wacky situations. But again, that's hard to pull off. They did it. So
would you say that the movie is better or just as good?
In some respects, better. I think that because it branches off into new territory, you get to see new things that you didn't see in the book. It's kind of cool to see like Forrest's influence in world events. And others not, because I think that it's too far-reaching. In the book it was sort of all from behind Forrest's eyes, and the events that happened were about as big as he saw them. In other words, if he didn't think too much about being shot into space. Well, you don't really either when you're reading the book. But then compared to the movie, you're like, holy shit, he got shot into space! So it's tricky, but I would say they're neck and neck.
Okay. All right. My turn again?
Sure.
Who else would it be? Number 3, the Silent Hill movie. This one might get some controversy. I really liked the first Silent Hill movie.
I did too.
I like the second one too, but for a completely different reason.
I haven't seen it.
It's or you remember how like Resident Evil 2, the movie, was way more like balls to the wall than the first movie.
Like, let's go crazy.
Same thing basically.
That's okay.
The first Silent Hill movie, it followed the game fairly closely. I'm not a big survival horror fan, so I've never played all the way through Silent Hill. But I know the story. And then really one of the big differences they made was that your main antagonist isn't a guy. I think his name's Harry something.
In the first one?
In the first game, it's Harry something. This one, it's a girl. I can't remember her name, unfortunately.
Rhoda Mitchell played her. She was in Pitch Black. She's beautiful. So
yeah,
that's all I care about.
No, I think what I heard, the reason that was it's more sympathetic to... You're more sympathetic to a girl. Or
she loses her kid.
It's scarier because it's a girl.
Well,
I don't
there's
buy
a kid involved. Yeah.
But yeah, you're searching for your kid. The ending changed a little bit, but I thought it held the atmosphere, the gore, just everything. I thought it just captured it perfectly.
It's also a labor of love. Like they totally got it. And I mean the mist, the fear that this situation is going to change from normal town or slightly normal town to not so normal town. It was obviously made by a team of people who had played and loved the original set of games. It's badass. It's kind of genuinely scary in some parts.
And in later games, I think they even changed the storyline or canon of the game story to match the movie a little bit.
From what I understand, I kind of fell out of love with the series, so I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll have to get the Marquise Assad to chime in on that one. That's a friend of ours is a huge fan of that series. Anyway, okay, so what's your number 3?
Number 3 is Fight Club.
Ooh.
You didn't think about that, did you?
No, I didn't.
You brought it up before.
I didn't think about Fight Club.
I would say they're both neck and neck.
Yeah, I would too.
But even Chuck Palahniuk himself said that when he saw the movie, he almost felt embarrassed having written the book, which means that there's some part of him, or at least some part of the movie, that he considers to be superior. One of the main reasons why I consider it to be superior, and I did say superior, is because they cut out a lot of the obvious homoeroticism from the book, making it more about, I wouldn't say friendship, but this idea of dominating another person. Not in terms of a relationship, like who's the man or woman or bottoms or tops or anything like that. Chuck Palahniuk himself is gay, so naturally he would write what he knows. In the book, Tyler and the narrator met at a nude beach. In the movie, if you've seen it, it was on a plane. And so I thought that straying it away from anything sexual and just making it about, hey, who's the better person? Who's the cooler? Who would you want to be more? Who, it was more of this ideological, rope climb between the narrator and Tyler Durden. And so it made it more universal. And instead, you didn't have to be an adult or a kid or teenager, gay or straight. You could sort of identify with what Jack was going through and as well what Tyler was doing. Another thing I liked about it was the reveal that Tyler was in fact the narrator. In the books, that was figured out much earlier, and was sort of like an itch inside the narrator's mind, like, I wish I could get this guy out of my head and quit pretending to be him. And so, in that respect, I felt like the movie had it was more like a punch in the face. The book was more like dragging you around by the collar and then at the end just be like, what just happened? The movie does the same thing, but at a later point instead just sort of beats you into submission. The movie actually feels like you're entering into a Fight Club. So there's my thing.
Yeah, I liked Fight Club a whole lot. And I watched the movie first, then I read the book. And there were definitely some things from the book, I kind of wish they had kept in. Like, there's a very strong sense at the end of the book that it's not over.
True.
That Tyler's followers are still out there. And, well, I mean, I guess that you get that in the movie too. But at the book, he's like in the hospital, and people are just like mopping the floor like we await your return, sir. You know?
Yeah, he's basically, mouth is shot open on this side. He had like a rip on this side, so he's just grinning from ear to ear, a la Chelsea Grin, Heath Ledger's Joker, whatever you want to call it. But he says basically, at night time the lights go out and the people are mopping the floor with a broken nose, going like, "Wait your turn." So that's kind of cool. And from what I understand, Chuck Palahniuk is writing a book about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a sequel to Fight Club coming out that's
Cool.
about Jack and Marla get married and have a kid, and then Tyler shows up and kidnaps the kid.
Okay,
exactly. We'll have to wait and see, right? So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Okay, moving on.
Moving on.
All right, number 2, V for Vendetta. I can't remember which I saw or read first, if it was the movie or the book. I want to say it was the movie. But I love the movie. It's almost near perfect to me. Not that I'm some like radical anarchist or anything. I think it's an awesome movie. The only part I would honestly get rid of is when he fights the people at the end of the movie with the knives. They have like a bullet time trailing effect because this was coming right off of the Matrix.
Yeah, well, it is the Wachowski brothers.
It is the Wachowski
or
siblings.
siblings.
But I thought it was just out of place in that movie. That's particular effect.
I get it, and it was probably filmed that way to show the trailer that this is a new action movie, which is clever enough in its own right. And you do feel it when it's happening in the movie, but it does feel out of place as well.
But that's getting off the point here. That's the only thing I would really change about the movie. The book had some extra parts in it that I think would have been interesting in the movie. The first person he kills is Prothero. That's the name of the TV guy, wasn't it?
The sort of preacher.
Well, he was like I can't think of that political guy. It's not important. But in the movie, he's on TV. He's always raging.
Like a Jerry Falwell.
Or not necessarily in the religious aspect.
Or Limbaugh.
Limbaugh. That's what I was thinking of. In the book, he's a radio personality because it takes place in the 80s, not in the near future like the movie does. And V doesn't kill him; he drives him insane.
Yeah, the guy has an obsession with porcelain dolls.
Porcelain dolls of all things.
And he cares about the dolls more than he does people. And so all these people that he's commissioned to be killed and things of that nature due to his bigotry, V basically shows him, he's like, you care more about dolls than you do people, and I'm about to show you exactly how much. So he breaks all of his dolls or ruins them. And
it's some fire, I think.
Yeah, he does. He shoves them in a furnace, and then he paints the guy's face, or does the guy do it himself? Regardless, the end result is the guy ends up looking like one of his dolls, but he refuses to talk to anyone, and he's just this antisocial piece of meat. And I thought that was really clever. Like, Alan Moore, I mean, in my opinion, not that you can top the source material, I just get what the Wachowskis were trying to do in taking the backbone of the story about. You have V as a hero / anti-hero. He is an anarchist. Then you have the government who's this other way, and they're fascist, evil, and who's right? And I guess the end in both the book and in the movie, it's saying that regardless of who is right, if they're both wrong, we need to start over, and that's kind of what comes across.
Yeah, one of the things I didn't actually catch in the movie until a recent viewing of it. I've seen this movie a lot. Like I usually watch it every 5th. Was it the 5th of November?
Yeah.
Is at the end of the book, Evie takes V's mask off and she sees like her parents. Like she sees the face of her mother and her father. And the last time I watched the movie, there's a scene where the army of V's come to Parliament. Was it Parliament?
Oh, in England?
Yeah, wherever V was blowing up. Yeah, I think it was Parliament. And at the end of the movie, Evie's giving her speech, and they start taking their masks off, and
he's Edmund Dantes. He's my father.
It's her father. It's Stephen Fry's character. It's all these people that had died throughout the movie, and for some reason, I had never recognized them as I watched the first 5 times I watched the movie. I always recognized the little girl.
Yeah,
and I just thought they were saying oh, she survived. She didn't die. I was like, oh, all right, she's okay.
But it said it was more of a tribute.
It was more of a tribute because the last time I was like, oh wait, that's her dad, that's her mom, that's Stephen Fry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, now I'm getting this. Right on.
Everyone's V.
Oh, she's dead.
Yeah.
The little girl actually is dead.
Yeah.
But I actually think I would say it is the superior, the movie. That's
one of those I can see either or.
Oh, there is one thing that I did think was just stupid was they changed the bad guy's name. In the book, it's Susan.
Yeah, she was more of a Margaret Thatcher.
Well, it was still a guy though. It was the bad like in the movie. It's Sutler, played by John Hurt.
Yes.
Uh,
Big ups to John Hurt.
oh, absolutely. But they changed his name from to Sutler from I think it was Susan.
I think so.
'Cause I think they wanted it to sound more like Hitler.
Yeah, it was a cross between Susan and Hitler.
Yeah,
You're right. Yeah.
I don't understand why.
So the movie took more cheap shots, but in the end, it was more effective. So I can see both. I think both are great. So while he thinks it's superior, I don't disagree with him. So.
All right, what's your number 2?
Or number 4. The new Ninja Turtles comic.
Oh, the new Ninja Turtle comic is amazing.
It's better than anything Turtles related that's come before. I cannot sit here and give enough away because it's so different.
It really is,
and likely no one has read it.
But at the same time, it's so familiar.
It is. It's alternate reality kind of stuff, but it's also the right kind of remake.
Like they're still mutants. They're not aliens, but their origin is very, very different. The Shredder, you kicked it
I
again.
did it. It's going to be a new thing.
The Shredder he's there, but it's still different. All right, I'm going to give part of it away. The Shredder is like 300 years old. Splinter and the Turtles are supposedly the reincarnation of Matayoshi and his 4 kids that were killed by the Shredder in feudal Japan.
Yep.
That's the most I'm going to give away. They are still mutants, and when the book starts off, it seems like it's got its very unique characters. You still got Casey and Casey Jones and April, but they're introducing new characters like a guy named Old Hob. And
Casey and Raph are still really good friends.
Right, yeah.
So there are going to be things where you go, oh, this is so obviously the Ninja Turtles, it can't be anything else.
But as the story has progressed, it's really like they're taking the old original cartoon and the old Archie comics and kind of really paying homage to that. Like Bebop and Rocksteady have shown up. There's a Fox girl, kind of like Ninjara from the old comic. Oh, it's really...
I'm letting him take over because... No, seriously. Because he's read more than I have. But I just, from even first impressions, I think that you're kind of like, this is amazing. This is badass. Like, it's better than anything that's kind of come before. But it also is done with care and no disrespect.
A fan is making this, is writing this.
Well, and the original creator. One of them. Is it Eastman?
I don't think he actually has much to do with it. Like, he does some covers, but I don't think...
Because I'm sure he gave his blessing.
Oh yeah, and I know he works on. He's written a few of them, like some of the annuals and stuff.
Cool.
But I don't think he really has anything else other than.
No, it's just awesome stuff. The only thing I can say to anyone who hasn't read it is go read the trades, because after one issue, it's just not enough. They really string you along where you're like, I want to see how they treat this character next. I want to see how they treat this character because it's all done in such a cool, unique way, but still very familiar.
Right. And then go to your local comic store and put it on, subscribe to it.
Yes.
Okay, we're done with Turtles?
Last one.
All right, last one. Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
I can see that.
The
movie, right?
The movie. Oh, yes, absolutely. I told you, mine are all movies.
Oh, yes.
Went and saw the movie. I actually got a free ticket to see it, which was pretty awesome. And I really wasn't thinking it was going to be too great. Just because I hadn't read the books. I was kind of like, what the heck is Scott Pilgrim versus the World? But who directed it? It was the guy that did Shaun of the Dead, right?
Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright. And so it was a free ticket. I'll go see it. And it was great. I was enthralled. It was...
it's a ton of fucking fun. Man.
It is a love letter to nerds.
Well, and to the book itself, but the difference between the movie and the book to me is the book is very unnecessarily hipsterish, and
a little bit.
It's kind of boring. Where like in the movie, when like a trick of the camera or something like that happens, it's unexpected. In the book, you see it coming from a mile away. So the book is more. I don't know how to put it. I really don't. There's just something real dry about it.
Yeah, like the ending is very different, and some of the characters are very different. Like in the book, he fights the twins. I'm sorry, in the movie, he fights the twins, and it's over really quickly. They just have like that band battle. In the book, it's like really drawn out, and like you hear more about like their backstory with Ramona and other stuff like that. And that's kind of a plus in the book's favor, but at the same time,
It's unnecessary.
I didn't care. when
Yeah,
I was reading it.
exactly. That's kind of my thing. Is I didn't really care about anything that was going on in the books.
Yeah, like
Sorry.
by the end, like I wasn't really rooting for anybody. Just-
No, I mean, although Scott Pilgrim is the main character, I certainly wanted to see.
He's
him.
also kind of the bad guy in a way.
Uh,
In the movie and the book.
for the most part, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're really like you're rooting for this guy, but he's also kind of been a piece of shit. The entire time.
He's a sloppy, self-centered asshole,
Mhm.
and I think the movie paints a clearer picture of that.
Yeah. But far superior. The movie far superior.
Last one for me.
Last one for you, sir.
The new Tomb Raider game.
Okay.
All right, and here's why. There have been a lot of first ladies of gaming, or other mediums than cinema or literature, but Laura was kind of the first one that really took root because she was, three-dimensional and she was strong, like Indiana Jones, all this stuff. And then, like, as she progressed, they made her more unrealistic in terms of her capabilities,
Anatomy.
her anatomy. I still played it because to me she was still always the same old Laura. Well, then you got this new one that comes out, and she's younger, she's more clothed, she is part of sort of a college expedition thing. It's less about her being a badass, more about her being normal, and so everybody's like, well, what's the fun in that? Well, the fun in that is that we've had all these male protagonists in games who are superhuman, they're Kratos, they can survive everything, you expect them to survive, they're never going to die, and that's that. Well, with Laura, she gets hurt. She shows remorse. She shows regret. There are all these things that happen to her that make her more relatable to everyone. And then from that, once you've realized she's fallen up to her lowest and then picked herself back up, she sort of brings the audience with her, or rather the player with her, and then by the end of the game, you are on fire to see what else she could possibly do. And they've shown trailers where she's sort of broken down mentally, but still gets her Jones by going out and raiding tombs or caves and things of that sort. I feel like it's better than the source material because it's one of those things where you would never mistake it for anything other than Tomb Raider. And at the same time, it pretty much pisses on all of the negative aspects, which is, again, like the focus on anatomy, the fact that Laura's a rich girl, and all this stuff. They don't worry about that kind of stuff because in this game, Laura could be, a 90-pound stick figure or a transvestite or anything like that. It's really the personality and her drive and her story that pushes her along, and just the idea that she's at rock bottom almost the entire game, and then by the end, she's like, this is it. There's even one part in the game where she's just been through some shit, absolute shit, and she shows up, and you hear the guys in the game who are trying to kill her going like, oh my god, she's still alive, and she even says, I'm still alive, you bastards. And that's when you're like, fuck, yes, dude, like, I'm right, and you don't have to be guy, girl, black, white, whatever end of the spectrum you come from, you get it. And that was not accessible to everyone from the first Tomb Raider, rather from the first Tomb Raider series, maybe from the first game. But it sort of deviated, went off into complete, unbelievable nonsense, even in terms of how she looked. And then this one brought her right back down to earth in the best way possible. So, big ups.
I can't talk too much about this one. I never played any of the old games.
And that's fine.
I tried the second one once, and I got nauseous playing it. I was just like, this game sucks. I can't play this.
I think if anything messes with your equilibrium like that, you probably leave it alone.
You let me borrow the remake or new one or
Yeah.
whatever. I didn't get very far into it before something like I didn't really want to play it, to be honest. And then something new and shinier came out. I will get to it because
Sure.
I keep hearing nothing but great things.
Yeah, and then maybe you'll do your own review of that.
Maybe.
That's it for me, man. I have nothing else.
I'm tapped out. I guess I wanted to let everyone know who watches this. We have a Twitter account at Red Destiny Art. You can follow me on the Instagrams at Mechamon Jikra, and I think you got one too, right?
I do. It's hold on, I've changed it. I'll bring it up. Wait.
We also have a Facebook at Red Destiny Art. Please like us.
Okay, my Instagram is PALAZZO 13. That's Palazzo 13.
And that's it. Night.